Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane DC Multiverse Red Hood Unmasked Jason Todd. This is a Walmart exclusive gold label edition. So let's go ahead and check out the packaging here. As you can see at the top, 22 moving parts, McFarlane Toys, got the Spawn logo there, ages 12 plus, McFarlane gold label collection, DC Multiverse Red Hood Unmasked. Here he is in the package. He comes with a collector's card, a display stand, crowbar here, and then his all blades. One side of the package says Red Hood Unmasked from the New 52. Other side, somebody says Red Hood Unmasked. At the bottom, there's a bunch of credits, and there is a barcode in case that helps anybody. And on the back side, here's Jason Todd posed up, and here are a bunch of other McFarlane DC Multiverse figures you should track down. So with no further ado, let's open him up. And I did end up getting two of these figures, one of which to open and keep as is, and another one to open, remove the head, and make a Jason Todd out of his costume and civilian attire. I am looking to get a third one to keep unopened as well. Here's this unmasked Jason Todd next to the masked version of Red Hood. And here are all the different variations of Red Hood in the package. And I finally got my third unmasked Red Hood, thanks to a local collector named Corey. Much love. Alright, now that we got this figure out of the package, here he is with all his accessories laid out. He does come with a display stand, a collector's card, his two all blades, and a crowbar. But before we take a look at the accessories, let's talk about and check out the actual figure. So this is Jason Todd, aka Red Hood, and this is the unmasked version. I notice he doesn't have the holster with the pistols on it, thanks to Warner Brothers' no gun mandate for any officially licensed DC figures. It's good that they made the masked Red Hood first. So this guy's a gold label Walmart exclusive. I saw him at Walmart stores around here. They bought him up pretty quick, but he is getting restocked. I had an order at Walmart.com, but they delayed the hell out of this thing. Luckily I was able to find it at stores first. So let's take a look at him. His face, it looks pretty good. Hair kind of messy. Did a pretty good job with that. That's how Jason Todd looks most of the time nowadays. The face itself looks good. A little generic. It could probably very easily be a Dick Grayson. Going further down, he's got that brown leather jacket, the bat symbol on his chest, kind of armored looking here. Looks to be the exact same body as the masked Red Hood, but a different head. Double jointed elbows, double jointed knees. No holsters around here. Overall, he looks pretty good, but if I had to pick one between the two, it would be the masked version. But I'm really happy to finally be able to make me a Jason Todd in civilian attire. And then here are both the unmasked Red Hood figures that I opened with all their accessories laid out. And just a closer look at his head or face. His face looks pretty good. The hair looks pretty good as well, pretty accurate to the modern comics with Jason Todd. Very happy to finally have a good unmasked Jason Todd head. Now let's check out his accessories, and let's start with the boring stuff. He comes with this McFarlane stand, typical stand they make, black perfect circle, says DC at the bottom, one peg for the peg holes in their feet, very thin, very basic. Now let's look at his collector's card. As you can see, here's the unmasked Red Hood figure. He's holding the all blades. Red Hood Unmasked from DC's New 52. On the back side, there is a description. If you want to read that, go ahead and pause now. And here's the unmasked Red Hood's collector's card on the left, next to the standard masked Red Hood's collector's card on the right. And let's take it one step further. On the left, this is the collector's card that came with the Red Hood from the Nightwing vs. Red Hood 2-pack. Now let's look at his all blades. These are a pair of mystical blades that are made out of copper, and they're designed to kill magic-based threats, and they cannot harm anything else. Jason Todd became so well versed in these, he's able to generate them at will from his hands. I don't believe these have been seen besides the New 52, but I could be wrong about that. One sword here, it looks kind of standard. It's got nice scope and detail on the handle, blade, the whole thing is pure silver. And the other one, it's a little bit different. It's got the flame coming out of the blade. This is a mystical weapon, all blades. Here's Red Hood holding the blades. He used these when it was Red Hood and the Outlaws. They were fighting a lot of magical threats. And since I got 2 of these Jason Todd figures, and you'll see why later in this video, I can have him holding both these standard swords. And as he becomes more experienced controlling the All Blades, he can activate their flame at will. He also comes with this crowbar, very appropriate for Jason Todd or the Red Hood. Pretty sure it's the same crowbar that came with Joker, pure silver, got a little fork at the top. Pretty good. I can find a ton of uses for a crowbar in my action figure world. Here he is holding the crowbar, which is far too small for his hands to grip properly. You see it just sort of slides in like that. Both his hands are like this. And it's 100% the same mold as the crowbar that came with the Rebirth Joker. That's on the bottom there. The only difference, the paint job's a little more silver on Jason Todd's. Now some accessories he probably should have come with, but didn't, are the pistols. These are the 2 pistols that came with the original helmeted Red Hood release. Warner Brothers no longer allows any officially licensed DC figures to come with guns in any way, shape, or form. You can still take them from the previous Red Hood and use them for this guy. I like they have a little bat symbol in the barrel there. Pretty standard looking gun besides that. Here's Jason Todd holding those pistols. And not exactly an accessory of his, but I did get 2 of these figures, specifically just to have a second unmasked Jason Todd head. I'm going to turn one of these into Jason Todd in civilian attire, out of his Red Hood costume. So the first thing I've got to do is provide me a civilian body, and I have just the one in mind. So I have this Cyberpunk V figure. He's also by McFarlane Toys. I thought he would be a good body for Jason in civilian attire. He's got a similar type outfit, black pants, black shirt, brown jacket, but no bat logos or emblems on him whatsoever. Seems like something Jason Todd might be wearing without the costume. And he's also from McFarlane Toys, so he should fit in pretty good scale and style-wise as is. So I went ahead and brought some water to a boil, dipped in my unmasked Jason Todd and my Cyberpunk 2077 V figure, took their heads off, and now let's see how the swap goes. So I went ahead and swapped the Jason Todd head onto the V body. It looks pretty good, but the head sits a little bit too low on the neck. I can definitely adjust this. I could take the ball from Jason Todd and put it into the V figure, or I could add some sticky tack on top of the peg and have the head sit up a little bit higher. But overall, it seems like it's a decent match personality-wise for Jason Todd. So I went ahead and stuck some sticky tack on top of the peg, holding the head. That allowed the head to sit a little bit higher on his shoulders. So far I'm pretty pleased with how this looks. I think it's a really nice Jason Todd in civilian attire. The only complaint, I do wish the ball of the peg would have fit into the head properly. I can still turn his head up and down from side to side, but over time I will have to replace the sticky tack. Not a big deal, but I definitely prefer when these things fit properly on the peg. You guys tell me what you think. I'm very pleased with my Jason Todd, another member of the Bat family to check off my list out of costume. The skin tone is a little bit off with the face versus the neck, but it's really not that bad. This does leave me with this extra Red Hood body and Cyberpunk V head. I don't really have any plans for the Red Hood body at this time. I'll probably end up popping this head on the body just to keep them together and throw in my fodder pile for future use. I can actually think of a ton of different things I can probably do with this V head right now. Went ahead and popped this head on this body for pretty much no good reason, just to keep them together for future use. And once I found out this Cyberpunk V body was going to work for my civilian Jason Todd, I went ahead and replaced my V so I could still have him in my collection. So now we have Red Hood with a mask on, Jason Todd in civilian attire, and Red Hood with a mask off. And let's take it one step further. I had an extra Red Hood because I bought the single release and the 2-pack, so I took the Mattel unmasked Red Hood head and threw it on top of there. So now I've got Red Hood with his helmet off, but with his domino mask on, Red Hood with the helmet on, Jason Todd in civilian attire, and then Red Hood with no helmet or domino mask. Pretty much any possible variation of Jason Todd and Red Hood you'd ever want. And here would be a bunch of different combinations of these bodies and heads. And here's my entire collection of McFarlane DC Multiverse Jason Todd and Red Hood figures. Red Hood is one of their best figures they've made, and I'm very happy to have some other variations. Now, I did have a couple of other head swap requests. One person asked me to show the Jason Todd head on Nightwing. I assume he was curious how it would look as a stand-in for Dick Grayson with the mask off. The head is sitting a little bit too low on the neck right now, but these things can be adjusted pretty easily. A different person asked me to show the Jason Todd head on the Batman Beyond Terry McGinnis body. I assume this person is planning to use this as possibly a Terry McGinnis unmasked head. But you know what? Looking at McFarlane's track record, they will probably give us an unmasked Terry McGinnis in the future. And somebody else wanted me to put the Nightwing head on top of the Jason Todd body. I chose to put the red Nightwing head on there, as he has red eyes, and to me it's a little more convincing as Jason Todd with his helmet off, but with his domino mask on. Now, I didn't feel like taking the peg out of the head, so it's sitting a little bit higher than it should. But if I were to take the extra step, take the peg out, slide the peg into this head, it'd look a lot better. And while we're on the subject of heads, this unmasked Jason Todd can hold the Red Hood's head from the first release and simulate him having his helmet off under his arm. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure, his accessories, and a bunch of other things you can do with head swaps, now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, sitting at about 7.1 inches tall, which is going to translate to about 18 centimeters. Now let's check out his articulation. Starting with his head here, of course, it can rotate from side to side. He can look up, not too much, down just a little bit there. Can tilt his head from one side to the other, give him a good amount of personality. Shoulders on a ball joint, goes out a little bit more than 90 degrees, up, down, around, all that good stuff. He does have a butterfly joint between his shoulder and chest area, just increases the range of motion there. He's got a bicep cut hidden pretty nicely under the sleeve. Double jointed elbows below that. His wrist here, it's got a ball in it, can't really see it very much. Can rotate, go forward and back, although the hinge is barely usable. Double ball joints in his torso, rotate around, go forward and back. The waist, rotate around, go forward and back, giving him a very good range of motion in his torso here. His legs completely doesn't splits, not a ball joint, but a similar type concept. Rotation, pretty much non-existent there. Legs go forward about that far, back pretty much not at all. Double jointed knees below that. His ankle goes forward and back, can rotate, can tilt and rock, and there's toe articulation. Now I wanted to check out this unmasked Red Hood next to the original standard Red Hood release and see what differences there are. The obvious difference is going to be the helmet versus the unmasked head, and just looking at the two of them, his head must shrink when he puts the helmet on because the head with the helmet is smaller than the head without the helmet, and that just doesn't make any sense at all. I get it, don't get me wrong, it would look pretty weird if Jason Todd's head was shrunken really small, and it would look pretty weird if that Red Hood helmeted head was way big. In addition to that, there's one other difference, and I'm sure you guys can see it right now. There are no guns with this unmasked Jason Todd. Thank you, Warner Brothers, for not allowing any DC figures to come with guns. That might work for a character like Batman, who has a no-gun rule, but all the Batman rogues pretty much use guns. These are some great-looking figures. The helmet is fantastic, the unmasked head's great, the armored body, the jacket. You can see where the holsters were. They really just sort of cut them off here and removed them. A little disappointing there, but I'm happy we got the standard Red Hood with his pistols. Here's Jason Todd at his armory, getting ready to go out. You can see he's got the Red Hood helmet and all of his weapons laid out. Here's Jason Todd, geared up, getting ready to put his helmet on and go out into the city. Here he is, rushing through the streets of Gotham City on his motorcycle, driving all the way through the city to meet up with Batman and the other allies. Then he meets up with Batman and the rest of the former Robins, and they get ready for another night's activities. Now let's check them out, next to some other action figures, starting off with some other McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is, next to the standard Red Hood with the helmet on. Here's Jason next to a few different comic Batman figures. And then, next to some other Robin and former Robins, we've got Nightwing, Red Hood, and the current Robin. Hoping McFarlane gives us a Red Robin in the near future. Fingers crossed. All the rumor is, we're going to get a Dark Knight Returns Carrie Kelly Robin before Red Robin. And here, next to a bunch of other Batman allies and sidekicks, I would love to see Red Robin, Batwoman, Orphan, Spoiler, The Signal, and many, many more. Here's Jason next to Azrael in his Suit of Sorrows. This Azrael is the only other figure in this assortment of Walmart exclusive gold label figures. Here he is next to the recently released Zack Snyder's Justice League wave. Still missing one variant from this. And then, next to the entire The Suicide Squad wave, just completed this collection a couple days ago. Here are all the different Unmasked figures McFarlane has made so far in their DC Multiverse line, and I could definitely see them making a bunch more. I could see an Unmasked Terry McGinnis Beyond Batman, or possibly an Unmasked older Bruce Wayne on the armored Dark Knight Returns Batman. And here are all their civilian counterparts that I've made. And here he is, next to some other recently released McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Now let's check him out, next to some other Jason Todd and Red Hood figures. Here he is, next to the standard, helmeted version of Red Hood. And here he is, next to some DC Direct and DC Collectibles Red Hood figures. Then, next to some Mattel Red Hood figures. And here he is, next to a custom Biker Red Hood figure I made years before any officially released versions were out there. Here are all of my 6 and 7 inch Red Hood action figures. Here's Jason next to DC Direct's Arkham Knight. In the game Arkham Knight, it turned out the Arkham Knight was Jason Todd. But in my action figure world, I used the Arkham Knight as a different character. In the comics, the Arkham Knight was not Jason Todd, and I use him as a separate villain. Then, next to another couple of DC Direct Jason Todd figures, we've got Jason Todd as Batman and Jason Todd as Hush. This is not the first time that I've made a Jason Todd in civilian attire. On the right here, we've got a Marvel Legends body with a DC Direct Batman The Adventures Continue Jason Todd head on there. The skin tones don't match, and the scale is considerably different from McFarlane. So I've got a Jason Todd for my 6-inch figures and a Jason Todd for my 7-inch figures. Years ago, Mattel made a DC Universe Classics Dick Grayson as Robin in his old school outfit. They actually made 2 different variations, as he had a couple of different hairstyles in the comics. I always use this one on the left for Dick Grayson Robin, and the one on the right for Jason Todd Robin. In the original continuity, when Jason Todd was Robin, he used the same classic costume as Dick Grayson. Here he is, next to a couple of DC Direct Joker in the Red Hood costume from before he became the Joker. This is exactly why he named himself the Red Hood, kind of to mock the Joker because the Joker's the one that killed him. And then, next to the Red Hood gang of Gotham. Now let's check him out, next to some action figures from different various companies, to see how he fits in both scale and style-wise, in case you want to know which lines you can mix him with. Since he's a McFarlane figure, they're typically the 7-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect, and work my way smaller. Here he is with some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. Then, next to some more McFarlane Toys, these are from different various video game properties. And now, next to some Jakks Pacific wrestling figures. And here he is, next to some DST or Diamond Select toys. Then, next to some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. And here, next to some NECA figures. Then, with some Mattel wrestling figures. And now, next to some Jazzwares AEW wrestling figures. And here he is, next to some Mezco 112 cloth soft goods action figures. Then, next to some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. And here, next to some Mafex figures. Then, next to some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here he is, next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. And finally, next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. Overall, he's a pretty nice figure, but I'm more excited for my Jason Todd in civilian attire than the Unmasked Red Hood. The Unmasked Red Hood doesn't do too much for me. He's a cool variant, but I much prefer the Red Hood with the helmet on. He's a top-notch figure. This guy's accessories are pretty cool. The All Blades bring something new to the table. I'm definitely going to enjoy giving those to my Masked Red Hood. It's very disappointing he doesn't come with the pistols, but I'll stop beating that dead horse with a stick. Warner Brothers, I hope you get your head out of your ass soon and let us reinstate guns with the officially licensed DC figures. His articulation is everything you expect from a McFarlane DC Multiverse figure, done very well in this guy. Sculpt and paint job, no issues, great sculpt, fantastic paint job, and the face and the head look very nice. If I were to rate this figure, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. I'm definitely enjoying this figure and what I've been able to do with this guy. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will talk to you guys real soon.